All right, I'm back. Thought number two for today. Um, so, I wonder if people are aware of a thing called Canadian accelerationism or affective affective accelerationism. I think it's called. I think affective accelerationism is something a little bit different, but the little like Canadian flag and then slash ACC is something that has begun to go begun to show up around the internet a little bit, especially on things like X. What does it mean? Well, here's what I think it means. What I think it means is that um, it's a group of people who are just trying to make Canada as good of a place as possible. They're pro growth, they're pro development, um, and they just want to see Canada thrive. And it's a really interesting thing that's starting to pop up. The Shopify president, Harley, has been talking a little bit about it. Toby from Shopify has been talking about it. It's starting to come up more and more in the Canadian tech scene. Is that Canadians, we have to be more aggressive with showing up in the world and saying that we have something that is of value. Maybe you're not a Canadian, you're watching this. So here's what I would say to you. Generally speaking, I think that the world is a big place and there's room for many nations and the prosperity of all. I don't think we're short on resources. I don't think we're short on space. I think we've got corrupt governments in a lot of places that prevent the things that a community has from actually impacting it locally. And corruption's a big issue. But the fact that there is a negative present shouldn't prevent us from pursuing the positive. So um, that and how this is relevant to the journey that I'm on is Lone Capital and its values and the companies that I'm working on building is fundamentally about building Canada. I think I have developed this kind of view over a long period of time, which is that I think that development has to start like personal in your personal self, then it goes into your family, making choices within your family, then your local community. So like probably your city, county, whatever like sub district you have there, and then out of your city it goes into your kind of major geo area. In Canada, then you would end up in a province, and then into the country, and so forth. I think a lot of people just try to change the world. Wow, like we've been told as young people, you got to change the world. If you're not doing something that's going to change the world, you're not doing anything useful. I think that's garbage. I think more important than changing the world is changing yourself, and then doing the things that are necessary to help your family be as healthy as possible, which then has a byproduct of helping your community be as healthy as possible, and so on and so forth, and working up that way. So often we're just like, oh, we got to go over somewhere else and tell someone else how to live their lives, when we have a giant mess in our own personal life or in our local communities. We've got tons of people that aren't being well cared for. We've got all kinds of public policy issues there. It's more important to start local and then go out from there. Bring those successes outward. Don't just try to go to the big stage and say like, "Hey, we have the right way to, run your country" or something like this. Dude, clean your bedroom. Dude, take care of the fact that your nutrition is trash. Take care of those things first and foremost, and then go off into the rest of the world. But getting back to the Canadian context, so I think that's where it starts. And I think you can kind of work your way up, and you can be working at multiple levels at the same time. I don't think it has to be exclusive to one. But Canada, we show up in the world stage, in a funny way sometimes. We're not we're not proud to just stand there and say, "Hey, we have value. You have value too. we're not debating that, but we have value. We have things to bring to bear, and we're here to play to the maximum that we possibly can, and we're here to play to win. You see our sports teams do pretty well, but our economic business community does well, but not nearly as well as it could. We've got great universities, historically a great school system. We have a lot of smart people. People are actually fairly well off generally, so there's opportunities for investment. But Canadians aren't going out there saying like, hey, this is a company we're going to build and we're going to take it to the world because we think the world would benefit from it. America, on the other hand, that's how they think. They're just like, we're going to take it local, we're going to grow it, and go on. And I'm not advocating Canadians be Americans because I just don't think that, that actually helps Canada. I think Canada has to be Canada, the best version of Canada that it possibly can be. And so Loam Capital, the stuff I've been talking about in these different journal entries for the last little while, is my play in that zone. The mission of Loam Capital is to use the tools of commerce to bring the greatest abundance to the most people possible. And so we're going to start local, little tiny companies. I'll tell you about one of them. My brothers and I started a 3D printing company called Direct Digital Manufacturing Company. And that's the reason why we did that is we know that 3D printing is going to be a big thing, and it is a big thing in some cases, but more importantly, manufacturing is a big thing. One of my brothers is a machinist. Another brother is a super technical oriented project manager maybe, but he's like a special projects guy. And he knows how to get all the details for the things that you need built. When you're building something like super nerdy that has lots of different technical components. You know what that is? That's a really great person to run ops on a manufacturing company that's trying to solve problems. I have the business background, legal, financial, software, so that we said, hey, let's just start something. And right now, we're selling custom 3D printed stuff on Facebook Marketplace. That's where we're starting. We know that if we start super small, then we can go somewhere bigger in the future. And this is how little things start in order to benefit your world, benefit your community, and then you go from there. You build on the successes and you say, all right, let's just keep on growing. So Loam Capital is meant to be this kind of a catalyst or a community of companies, if you will, that take a stab at different problems in the world and say, hey, we're going to come and solve that. So Direct Digital is all about dealing with the Canadian manufacturing core. And we've got a unique, I think, perspective that we're intending to grow into. And I'll tell you just briefly, don't want this to get too long, but very briefly, we see manufacturing as something a lot like a data center. You're going to have multiple nodes and hubs around the world or around your community. And each of them is going to have redundant or a set of manufacturing tools, and they're going to be redundant across geographies. That is like a data center. When you use the internet right now, you're using the computers that serve you, the web page from various different places when you use a computer and you view a web page, it's coming from a variety of different data centers. Amazon has a bunch of them. Google has some of them. I think Microsoft has another set. And then there's just some other data centers where people rent space. But the idea is that they're geographically spread around the world, and then you get information from the one that's closest to you. Well, we think manufacturing can be done very similarly, kind of like manufacturing as a service. If you need something built, you submit it, and then we'll build it for you based on these hubs. And there's then a whole bunch of really interesting, fun things that makes possible once you have a kind of an API-driven manufacturing ability. But we're starting small, literally printing card cases for Magic card players and D&D players starting on Facebook Marketplace. But that's going to get us another machine, and then we're going to spend some time doing software, and it's just going to kind of keep on growing up and outward from there. So getting back to the place where we talked about where I was started earlier, which is about the Canadian economy and the Canadian desire to build things. Um, Loam Capital is my uh, stab at bringing value to the Canadian economy, and then we'll go international once we've kind of proven out the value, and we'll go into the US and into Europe or into Asia and try to serve those communities as best as possible. Um, is the goal to make money? Always. You got to profit. But bigger than that goal, we want to provide a set of values as we as demonstrated by these different tools of commerce um, in these different avenues of society. So I should really, I'd be remiss if I didn't plug Direct Digital. So if you're interested in having something 3D printed, hit me up in the comments of this video. We'll get you connected with my bros. We'll get the stuff printed and shipped out to you. No problem there. And if you have something that we can't do, we'll help you figure out, the right place to do that. But Canada, we are here and we have things to offer, and we're going to come and play the game as best as we possibly can, and build. And in building, I think we're going to see a lot of people benefited. The more companies we start, the more kind of problems we solve, the more people we can hire, give great jobs, treat them super well. And I think that just levels up the whole economy. So my word for us Canadians today would be go hard, find those things that the world needs and deliver them without any kind of reservation. Just try to be the best that you can be. And I think you'll find that the world is ready to receive a thoughtful, caring, innovative product. All right, that's it.